Hello and welcome to Grade 10 English Lessons. This is Unit 6 and the focus on for the last unit. This will be episode 1 for the vocabulary and reading comprehension. In this episode, we're going to learn about nature, get some new vocabulary about nature, as well as tackle some tips for reading comprehension questions, and also exercise our reading comprehension skill. First of all, I'd like to begin with this. When it comes to the objective of nature reserve, it is for the conservation of endangered animals. Now, when it comes to nature reserve, we're going to learn about one that exists in Kuwait. But before we go through that, let's take the first vocabulary item for today, which is conservation. Based on the context that you've just read, what do you think the word conservation means? It could mean something as protection, right? Conservation is a noun and it means the protecting of natural things, such as animals, to prevent them from being extinct. Now here comes the example that we have in Kuwait. Al-Jahra Pools Nature Reserve was officially founded in 1990. The 250 hectares of marshes were formed from effluent waste flowing from the nearby town of Al-Jahra. Here we have 3 new vocabulary items. The first one is hectare. It's a noun, and it's a metric unit for square measure. For example, I have prepared for a plan for transforming thousands of hectares into a green land. The next item is marsh. It's a noun, and it means an area of low-lying land that is flooded in wet seasons. For example, it's raining heavily. The playground has turned into a marsh. And for the third vocabulary item, noun. Effluent is a noun, and it means liquid waste or sewage discharged into a river. For example, water pollution is the result of factories pouring effluent into the sea. Now, the reserve has become a crucial sanctuary for birds. A 70-hectare space has been fenced off to protect the birds' habitat from destruction. Some of the examples you see on the right are some examples of rare birds. Here we have the words sanctuary and fenced off. Let's take the meaning together. For sanctuary, it's a noun and it means a place for refuge or safety. Fence off is a verb and it means to enclose a space with a fence, just like the garden you see in the picture. For example, the school's garden must be fenced off to prevent students from picking up flowers. One of the most distinguishing features of the reserve is its extensive vegetation, with a wide variety of flora growing in the pools. We have 2 different vocabulary items here, vegetation and flora. If you look at the images, they could give you a meaning or they could give you a hint on what these 2 words could be or could mean. The first one, vegetation, is a noun, and it means plants considered collectively, especially those found in an area or habitat. Flora is a noun, and it means the plants of a particular region, habitat, or geological period. The reserve has been a center for propagation. However, it is also famous for its fauna. We have the words propagation and fauna. They're both connected. Propagation is a noun, and it means the breeding of plants and animals by natural process. For example, plants and animals need certain conditions for propagation. For fauna, it's a noun, and it means the animals of a particular region, habitat, or geological period. We've learned about flora and fauna back when we were in middle school. If you are interested in protecting wildlife, then the Al-Jahra Pools Nature Reserve certainly deserves your support. What do you think the word deserves here means? It's a verb, and it means to be worthy of something, especially as a reward. So here's an example. After all that hard work, you deserve your manager's praise. You've earned it. Now that we're done with some of the vocabulary tasks, let's go to the reading comprehension. First of all, I'd like to ask you this question. Why do people like shopping? I'm asking you this question because what we're going to read about is related to shopping. Also, which do you enjoy more, window shopping or buying things? Do you prefer online shopping instead? Now, open your workbook or your student's books to page 52 and look at this article. Based on the title, Kuwait, a shopper's paradise. What do you think the topic of the article is? And what kind of information do you think will be included in this article? Before we go ahead and read it, let's take some reading comprehension tips. First of all, when you go through the questions, or when you go through a reading comprehension task, always go through the questions first, and then read the passage. Doing so will allow you to understand what ideas could be in the text, and it will help you find your answers later on a lot faster. Do not get stuck on particular words. If you do, I recommend you read the sentence again and again until you understand the context. That will help you at least guess the meaning of this particular word. Opening and closing paragraphs require extra focus. Write your answers in full sentences. Reading the first sentence of a paragraph will give you the main idea of that paragraph. So, we've got some tips, and I'd prefer that you use most of them when we do the reading comprehension task in a few minutes. Here's another thing that you also need to pay attention to. Whenever you read the text, always underline or circle the keywords or possible answers. Now, I'll give you two different techniques when it comes to reading. They're called skimming and scanning. For skimming, it means you are reading the text quickly to get the general idea. For the scanning, you are reading the text quickly to find a specific piece of information. Now, what are the types of questions that you'll be facing for the reading comprehension? The first type will be the multiple choice questions, and they come in different forms. The first one is the best title or the main idea. The second one will be about the vocabulary. So you'll either be asked about synonyms, the closest meaning to a certain word, antonyms, the opposite meaning of a word, or definitions, an exact meaning of a certain word. After that, we have the word reference, and I'll explain this right now. For example, you'll have this type of question. The underlined word they in paragraph X refers to. Number 4, locating explicit information. That means that the answer is clearly mentioned in the text by searching for the correct keyword. Number 5, we have the negative factual information, and they have different examples. The first one, according to the passage, which of the following is not true? The next one is, all the following statements are true except. That means you have 3 statements that are true and only 1 statement that is false. According to the passage, all the following statements are false except. So this is the opposite. Here you'll have 3 different statements that are false, however, only 1 statement that is true. Last but not least, number 6 will be the final multiple choice question, which is the purpose of the writer or the moral lesson. After we're done with the multiple choice questions, you will be facing the productive questions, and they are in 2 forms. The first one, the explicit question. That means the answer is clearly mentioned in the text. For the implicit one, it's the opposite. The implicit question means that the answer is implied and not given explicitly in the text. So we're done with the tips. We've known we just learned how many different questions we'll be facing in the reading comprehension. Now let's go ahead and read the questions first. Here we have the first question. The author's main purpose of writing this article is to. Question number 2. The underlined word literally in the 5th paragraph is closest in meaning to. Number 3. What does the underlined word it in the 1st paragraph refer to? Number 4. What can be understood from paragraph 2? According to paragraph 7, why is Villa Moda one of the best destinations for shopping? And last but not least, all the following statements are false except. So let's skim through the text. Again, to remind you, skimming means reading the text quickly to get the general idea. So open your student's book on page 52 and read or skim through the article. You can pause the video to do so. So let's look at the multiple choice questions. Number 1, the author's main purpose of writing this passage is to. To remind you, this is about the author's main purpose. So it's either to inform or there is a moral lesson. So what do you think is the purpose? To show the different brands in Kuwait? To commemorate the early days of Villa Moda? To identify a special place in Kuwait? Or to compare between Villa Moda and other malls in Kuwait? Look at the text and try to find the answer. So the answer is A, show the different brands in Kuwait. If you got it right, well done. If not, that's fine. You can try again in the next question. Number 2, the underlined word literally in the 5th paragraph is closest in meaning to. Remember, this is asking you for a synonym of a certain word. So we have the word usually, apparently, eventually, and exactly. So which one do you think is the closest meaning to the word literally? To understand it, look at the text and the sentence the word is mentioned in. Look at the context. Based on the context, what do you think the meaning of literally is? And when you find it or understand it, then you can find the synonym. And I think you found it. The answer is D. Literally is closest in meaning to exactly. Excellent job. Now we have number 3. What does the underlined word it in the 1st paragraph refer to? This is word reference. So does it refer to Kuwait, place, store, or shopping center? Again, look at the text, look at the sentence. However, if you don't find the answer in the sentence itself, I recommend that you read the previous sentence. Doing so will help you understand what the word it refers to. So the answer is Kuwait. Excellent job. Here's number 4. What can be understood from paragraph 2? This is asking you about implicit information. So is the answer the different stores in Villa Moda, the reasons of Villa Moda's success, the location of Villa Moda, or the modern style of Villa Moda? Look at the text, and this is the paragraph. Scan through it to find that specific piece of information. The answer is B, the reasons of Villa Moda's success. Excellent job. Now, according to paragraph 7, why is Villa Moda one of the best destinations for shopping? This is implicit information. So is the answer the mixture of different brands and fashion, the distinguished location downtown, the unique design of the building, or the free area in the mall? Look at the last paragraph and skim or scan through it. The answer is C, the unique design of the building. If you got most of them right so far, you're actually doing a very good job. So well done. Now let's go for the final question. All the following statements are false, except this is negative factual information. So which one of these is the true statement? Villa Moda is the oldest mall in Kuwait. Only traditional dress is sold in Villa Moda. Villa Moda is in Mubarakiyah. Or Villa Moda has only new stores. Skim through the text and you'll get the idea. The answer is C, Villa Moda is in Mubarakiyah. Well done. After we're done with the multiple choice questions, now we only have the productive questions left. Number 7, or with reference to the passage, answer the following questions. What makes a mall a successful destination for shopping? Now, this is a different type of information. It's asking you about explicit information. That means you'll find it mentioned inside the text. So look at the text and find the answer. So the answer is the design, prices, services, and the quality of goods. Also, pay attention to the question itself. Most likely than not, you'll have to mention more than one reason or more than one thing in the answer. So pay attention to that. For number 8, in your opinion, how do you know that someone is a shopaholic? Now, this is a different type of question. It's an implicit question asking you about implicit information. Skim through the text to get the idea. The answer is, he or she can't track his or her purchases and spends more than he or she can afford. Shopaholics also purchase things that they don't need or didn't plan to buy. So in this episode, we extracted relevant information after reading a passage. We've tackled multiple choice questions and productive questions. We've also used new vocabulary items in sentences. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.